and reduce it down to just petitions, you are not going to be a person who prays. Prayer. First of all, it's communion with God. A second thing that I want you to see is some things are only given through right praying. Now, the sovereignty of God is a beautiful doctrine. It is also a quite mysterious thing. You've run into somebody who's got a handle on the sovereignty of God to the point where they say there's no longer any mystery. They've got it figured out. Get in your car and drive as far away from that person as you can possibly get. It's just too big. But I believe in the sovereignty of God. I believe in the eternal decrees of God. I believe His lordship over history. But at the same time, some things are only given through right praying. I want you to listen to James 4, 2 and 3. You do not have because you do not ask. You ask and do not receive because you ask with wrong motives, so that you may spend it on your pleasures. So there's two things here about prayer. They don't have because they're not asking, or when they ask, their motives are all wrong. So first of all, let's just look at it in a positive light. There are many things, many blessings that the people of God as individuals and as a community miss out on because they do not pray. They do not ask. And you know what's really hurt this as much as anything? Credit. Credit. When a man doesn't have any credit, he has no credit card, no credit, then if he doesn't have the money in his hand, he can't go get it, what he wants. And so what does he have to do? He has to wait and save and wait and save and wait and save. And if he's a righteous man, and it's a righteous thing he desires, he waits, he saves, he calls out to the Lord, help me, bless me, this is something I need. Lord, I can't get it without you. All that's gone the way of the flesh, hasn't it? In America. We don't need God. We whip out a credit card. We need a new car. We think we do. We go put it on credit. We need this, credit. And so we never call out to the Lord to meet our needs. And we miss out on so many things. Let me give you an example. I was here for about 2 years in Alabama before I actually, even more than that, I guess, before I moved into my home. Well, my wife has never asked anything of me. But she loves to cook. She's a good cook. If I wasn't genetically perfect, I would be a lot heavier than I actually am. I mean, my wife can really cook. And I thought, Lord, I want to get her a kitchen. I mean, a nice kitchen. So what do? I'll tell you what you do. You start praying for 2 years. And then you go to Lowe's to scratch and dent twice a week, praying when you walk through the door. And then after 2 years, you've gotten some of the finest ovens and fridges and everything else for less than 50% what everybody else paid. But then again, you got to do something that you hate to do, but your parents did all the time. Wait. Cry out to the Lord. You see, the Lord cares about our needs. And not only does He care about our needs, He just cares about us. Let me give you an example. I love this, one of my favorite stories in the whole world. When we were coming, I may have shared this. Did I share this about the country crafts? If I shared that here? Well, let me just iterate it. My wife, we were in Peru, we didn't have a dime. She wanted some country crafts when we came back to the States. She said, could I get some on our furlough, and then when we go back, I'll take them a Country Crafts. I didn't know what that was. I found out they're little pigs and cows cut out with jigsaws. So we go into this shop in Gatlinburg and found out those things cost more than real pigs. And so she just walked out, no big deal. And then we went to West Tennessee, where a friend of mine was pastoring, and we stayed with him as I preached there. And in the little storeroom we were sleeping in, that they'd turned into a bedroom, they had 2 boxes this big of Country Crafts, because they had just renovated the parsonage, and the wife didn't want those things anymore. You see, you don't have because you don't ask. Because you get it on your own and end up getting in credit, debt, everything else. You just can't wait upon the Lord. And that's not good. Now, I'm not saying it's not always wrong to do credit or get a loan or anything like that. But what I'm saying is, I think we know what we've done as Americans. It's become quite evident in the last few months. Wait upon the Lord. Now, He also says, though, you ask and you don't receive because you ask amiss. You're controlled by your lust. You're controlled by desires that probably conflict with the will of God. Now, let me show you how to pray. It's a very simple way of looking at prayer. These TV preachers, they're always talk healing and prosperity and money and wealth and health and name it, claim it, blab it, grab it. I mean, they got it all going there, don't they? Well, I want you to look at something. Jesus said, seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. Now, when He says all these things, be very careful there. He's not talking about a yacht. That is to be in the context of something wonderful. What? The Lord's Prayer. Your name be hallowed, your name be worshipped, set apart as supreme, special. Your kingdom come, your will be done. So, as most of you know, I have a physical problem, arthritis and metal in me everywhere. Well, I pray about that. And I ask God to take it away. I still ask Him to take it away. Why? Because you'd have to be out of your mind to want this. It hurts. I don't want it. But here's the way you pray. Father, I'm hurting. I don't like this, and I want you to take it away. But Father, if by taking it away, your name will become worshipped in a greater way, your kingdom will advance in a greater way, and your will be done in a greater way, then take it away. But Father, if through this ailment, somehow you work it out, that your name has greater worship given to it, and your kingdom advances in a greater way, and your will is done in a more perfect way, then I am content. I am content. Do you see? Everything. Now, when it comes to prayer, I want you to know that you have to be very, very careful about wanting things that you don't necessarily need or won't be really won't produce that much godliness in you. But at the same time, be very careful of being overly spiritual. Pray about everything. Pray about everything. Like a child. I want it to snow. I pray, let it snow. Want to kill a deer? I pray, I fast. All sorts of things. I mean, the thing about it is the Lord needs to be in every aspect of your life. If there's anything in your life that you feel like you're not going to include the Lord in, then you shouldn't do it. So prayer. Giving yourself to prayer. Now, some of you never pray, and I understand that. Don't make a commitment that tomorrow morning you're going to get up at 4:30 and pray for 3 hours. Don't do that. Apart from some special revelation from God. But start tomorrow. Start tonight. 5 minutes. Maybe later on, if we have time, some other time as the weeks pass by, I'll teach you how to pray. But this is extremely important, a life of prayer. Now I want to finish up by saying this. Some battles are only won by prayer. In Mark 9:28, when he came into the house, his disciples began questioning him privately, why could we not drive it out? Why could we not drive the demon out? And he said to them, this kind cannot come out by anything